Welcome to the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. Here's your host, Brien Hanley.
Hey, everybody, what's going on? This is your man, Big B, Brien Hanley. Welcome back to the Big 12 Insiders. Appreciate everybody being in here. Today we're going to get right into this. There's going to be some fired up fans about this. I got on the colors in support of the school that I went to. We're going to talk about Kansas State, Jerome Tang, and what has happened to Kansas State basketball. Like, where are the issues? How can it be fixed? It's been a colossal disaster the last two seasons. For whatever reason, it's been a disaster. And we're going to dive into it and talk about that here today. Before we do, everybody remember to continue to like, follow, make sure you hit that subscribe button if you're not already subscribed. Keep diving into those comments like you guys always do. And as always, hit the notification bell so you know exactly when Big 12 Insiders content comes out. So let's not waste any time, people. Let's get into it. Jerome Tang had a ton of success early. I don't care. There's people that say, well, it was Bill or Bruce Weber's players. And, hey, Bruce Weber got fired with those players. Okay? So it doesn't matter who Jerome Tang won with. The previous coach literally got fired with those guys. So don't talk to me about, well, he couldn't do this. Hey, I don't want to hear it. Okay? It'd be one thing if the coach retired, they'd won a bunch of games, super successful. That is not what happened with Bruce Weber. Okay? So Jerome Tang comes in, wins a ton of games early, goes to the Elite Eight, and you're thinking, okay, we're off and running with this thing. They got some momentum. He's an elite recruiter, and there's no doubt that Jerome Tang, 19 years at Baylor, he had built his reputation up as being an incredible human being and an elite recruiter. And, he is a people person. That is who he is to his core. So you're thinking, okay, Kansas State's got something rolling here. And it got derailed in the 23-24 season with a guy that is now playing in the NBA, Naquan Tomlin. Now, for whatever reason, I'm not going down the road on why he got dismissed, but he did. And look, you take a guy that is in the NBA. Now, I'm not saying he's a superstar in the NBA, but he's in it. You remove somebody like that from your roster that you're counting on, your team's not going to be as good. I don't care what team it is. I literally don't care what school. You remove a guy that has an NBA talent and you're counting on this guy to do major things for you, and that kid is no longer on your roster, that's a problem. It's a problem, man. And it was a problem for Kansas State. They never recovered. They didn't have the talent to be able to recover. They just weren't a very good basketball team. But the thing that Kansas State did is, instead of trying to load up on recruits, they dove headfirst into the transfer portal. Okay. They did that the season before, but with the rules and a coaching change, you had to build a roster that way. All right. So you do that. Doesn't work out for you. You miss. So the problem with the 24-25 season is, look, Jerome Tang dove headfirst into, well, we got to fix this thing. We can fix it immediately, and we're just going to go out and try to get the best basketball players that are available. We're going to go out and do that. The problem with Kansas State, they missed on all those guys. They didn't get all the guys that they were wanting to get. The top names in the transfer portal, K-State didn't get them. They were reaching for the stars, and that they didn't have a long enough reach. And you can say, well, they didn't have enough money, which I don't know if that was the case, because K-State had one of the highest NIL for basketball in the country. So maybe it was something else. Maybe people didn't want to go to Manhattan, Kansas. Maybe people didn't want to play for Jerome Tang. Maybe they didn't want to be in the Big 12. Whatever the case may be, they didn't come. Now, I find it hard to believe that people wouldn't want to play in the Big 12 because it's one of the premier basketball conferences in the country. So I'm not giving them a pass on that. I'm not even necessarily giving them a pass on Manhattan, Kansas, because a lot of these kids are going to be there for a year. And if they like playing college basketball at a big time level, then they're going to go. But what nobody seems to want to talk about enough is that the word is out about the Kansas State coaching staff and their lack of ability to be able to develop basketball players. The word is out. And there's going to be some people that don't talk enough about it. You know me, I'm going to talk about it. And if that means I make enemies at Kansas State, so be it. Because the one thing about this channel, truth is the only thing that I care about. I like to have fun, but I'm going to tell the truth, regardless of whose feelings it hurts. I'm sorry. It's the only way that I know how to do this. Hopefully you guys respect that. If you don't, I apologize, but I'm still going to continue to do it. I'm going to tell you the truth. So the word is out about Kansas State being able to develop, but we'll get back to that. But that's part of the problem. They continue to miss in the transfer portal. And then they built the team this past year, a collection of guys that role players. I mean, I guess you could call Doug McDaniel, you could call him, I don't know if you want to call him a star at Michigan because he wasn't a star. I mean, he was a good player, but look, I'm not breaking news by saying that he had an attitude issue. He had problems at Michigan. Okay. So you bring that into the fold. Coleman Hawkins, the reports are $2 million. I don't care about the money. I'm not getting into that part because, in my opinion, if Coleman Hawkins could get $2 million from Kansas State, good for him. But he was a role player at Illinois. He wasn't a star. He was a third option at best at Illinois. And to give somebody like that kind of money, again, good for him. But if you're paying that, you're expecting star type of performance with that kind of money. It's just like in the NBA. You pay somebody top dollar, they're getting a max contract. You're not expecting that guy to give you role player numbers. That's not how this thing works. And in college basketball, that's the same thing. You're not expecting role player type of numbers. So they didn't hit. And you all saw it. I don't need to go through the names. We saw Kansas State out there reaching for the stars. And again, I don't want to sound hypocritical because I'm a guy that believes that Kansas State doesn't have to be the woe is me program. Oh, we can't do this. We can't do that. Having said that, you got to know who you are. You got to understand who you are. You don't have to necessarily settle for the bottom of the basement, but you can't go reaching for 5-star recruits, when you haven't had 5-star results. It doesn't work that way. I'm sorry, but we'll get back to that. But Kansas State put together a collection of players and did not build a team. In my opinion, and I said it all year, I believe Jerome Tang panicked. Is that, hey, I got to have a good season this year. I got a contract extension. I basically leveraged going to another school, which Arkansas was never going to hire Jerome Tang. But good for Jerome Tang. He was able to leverage himself into an extension, got a pay raise. Again, you know me, I'm for everybody getting as much money as they can. But now he's like, okay, now I got to come through. I gotta win. And instead of building a team, and we've seen it all through college basketball, using the transfer portal, teams are bad to good, okay team to great. We've seen it. 1 year doesn't take. It's not like in the old days where it took you 3, 4, 5 years to build a program. It is not like that anymore. But Kansas State didn't build a team. They just had a collection of players. They didn't build a roster that was based on, okay, this is my coaching philosophy. This guy fits. This guy fits. This guy fits. They didn't do that. They just got a collection of players that didn't fit what they were trying to do. Now, there's going to be some Kansas State fans that are going to say, well, Big B, what the hell are they trying to do? You would be exactly right. You're not going to get no argument from me on that because I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know what kind of team that they were trying to be. I still don't know what Jerome Tang wants to do. Do you want to be an up and down team? Do you want to press? Do you want to run? Do you want to just play half court. What do you want to do? I don't think Kansas State fans know in year 3. They still don't know. One of the reasons is because they don't have an X and O guy. Look, as much as I love Jerome Tang, and I think he's great, he is not the best X and O guy out there. That's not a fault of his own, but the fault is that maybe he doesn't recognize that, and he doesn't have an X and O expert on his staff. That I can fault Jerome Tang for. Look, there are plenty of head coaches at every level in all sports that are not the best X and O guy. Plenty of those guys out there. Nothing wrong with that as long as you have a guy on your staff or two that you can lean on that can draw up this, that is an expert in that. Like maybe he's an expert at, out of timeout plays or, an expert on inbounding, trying to get a bucket out of there. There's plenty of those coaches out there. And there's nothing, again, I don't fault Jerome Tang for not being the best X's and O's guy. What I fault him for is not having one of those on his staff. That's his fault. And he should know that. And maybe he does. But you got to have that on your staff. I don't care what. You can have all the hype men you want. Unless you have somebody that can literally teach X's and O's and can be an expert at it when you aren't, that's a problem. That's a problem. You can't continue to miss in the transfer portal. You can't not have an X and O guy on your staff. And you have to continue to recruit, players. These are the problems that I see at K-State. You have to recruit guys and be able to retain them, which means you got to develop. That's the problems that I see the program, and just some of the problems. There's more, but look, we're not trying to drive a knife in the guy or the program, but just kind of tell you the truth. Good things. I mean, Jerome Tang, I talked about it earlier. He's an incredible human being. There's no doubt about Jerome Tang, about him being an incredible human being. Anybody that says that he isn't, you're full of it. Now, some people may get tired of his act as far as, and I say act, this is how he is. He's a religious man. Some people don't necessarily like that for you to do it publicly. I could care less. If that's who you are, be who you are, and don't hide from it. And he doesn't. So I think he's an incredible human being. I think he understands people. I think he understands where he's at, and that Kansas State is a proud basketball school that wants to get back to what it was. And I think that's a deeper rooted problem than what a lot of maybe K-State fans want to actually talk about, is that K-State wants to be back to where it was. The problem with that is where it was 40 years ago. It wasn't 20. You can't say, oh, well, let's get back to where we were 10, 20. No, 30 years ago. No. It's longer than that, man. So that's the problem. That's the deep-rooted problem, is that K-State they can't get back there, and they're trying. They'll have seasons. They'll have opportunities, but they never capitalize on it. You go to the Elite Eight, and then you miss the tournament. How? Why? That's not the sign of a good program. So I think Jerome Tang actually understands where he is, and he's trying to build on that. He's trying to, or build something to try to get out of the rut. You can't just keep doing this as a program. That's not how good programs work. And Kansas State has the ability to do that. Look, the fan support is there. The fans will support you. I understand on a Tuesday night in January, it's tough to sell out Bramlage, but they do their damn best. They do their best, especially when you have people that are driving from Kansas City. I mean, that's not an easy drive, especially, leaving, because a lot of times people got to leave work early, and then you get home at 1:00 in the morning and have to go to work the next day. That's not easy. Or they're coming from Hayes, having to drive to Manhattan. I mean, that's not an easy drive. And when I say easy, I mean, I-70 fine, but it's not 20, 30 minutes. It's just not. But the fan support is there. If you win and you're putting out an exciting product that can win basketball games, the fan support is there. And even when you're not winning, they want a winner. They want to support you. But you got to do it right. You got to do it right. And I don't even think that the fix at Kansas State is that bad. Couple of things that they could fix. First, you got to get a better staff. I mentioned that at the beginning. You don't have a guy on your staff that's an expert in X's and O's. That is a colossal mistake. When you're not the guy that's an expert, and then you don't have a staff that has an expert, what are you doing? It kind of goes back to what I was talking about. Kansas State fans have no idea what kind of team that they want to be as far as playing style. We still don't know 3 years in. We don't know. It's kind of all over the place. And it can't be all over the place. Jerome Tang's got to settle on something and do it. And then recruit to that. Recruit to the style. Don't try. And look, and I get that you're going to get some guys that maybe you have to tweak some things, because the better part, the part of coaching that a lot of people don't factor in is that, okay, maybe you have a talent that can't do all the things that you do, but you have to devise ways to take advantage of their abilities. You can do that if that's your best player. But if it's not your best player, or maybe your two best players, especially in basketball, then you don't just say, okay, well, we'll just run by the seat of our pants and figure this thing out. That's what it looked like all last year with Kansas State. Is that they just, hey, we got a collection of guys, we'll just figure this thing out on the fly. Well, you never figured it out. You never figured it out. So recruit guys to the way that you want to play. Look, it should be an open canvas right now at Kansas State. You've missed the tournament the last 2 years. You had a losing record this year. It should be an open canvas. Okay, look, fans, I apologize. We got to get this thing going back on the right track. Okay? Hang in there with me. We're going to get some guys in here. We're going to develop a system. We're going to get guys in here to play to that system, and we're going to get this thing going. But you got to figure that part out first. What's the system? And then get guys in here to that system and then go from there. Next, you got to start recruiting high school guys. And develop them. You can't live in the transfer portal and think that you are going to just get 7, 8 guys every year from the transfer portal when you can't sustain success. And follow me with this. What I'm saying is, and I understand what college basketball is right now, college athletics. Guys are jumping in the portal left and right for whatever reason. They want more money. They want more playing time. Whatever the reason is, guys are going to jump in the transfer portal. You have no control over that. You just don't. Okay? But what you do have control over is building a foundation of, okay, we're going to bring some guys in, and we know we're going to lose some guys to the transfer portal, but we're going to bring you in because we're going to develop you to be the best basketball player that you can be. That's what we're going to do. Kansas State, it seems like, and doesn't really seem like, what they have tried to do is reach for the stars, not only in the transfer portal, but also at the high school ranks for guys to come to Kansas State. And it's cool to have your name attached to the top recruit in the country, even though there's absolutely no chance that they're coming to your university. That's cool to say that. But what did you win? Like, number 1 recruit in the country comes to visit Manhattan, Kansas. But if he doesn't come, who cares? Well, that could bring some stuff down the line. If one guy sees a visit, maybe it wasn't good for him, but it might be good for the number 8 recruit in the country. Well, you didn't get that guy either. And on and on and on. And again, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite because I get on Kansas State fans the most because they are close to me. And I tell them all the time, stop being the woe is me school. Stop being the school that, oh, we can't recruit this and we can't do that, and feel sorry for us. I tell them all the time, stop it. Stop it. And I'm never going to stop saying that. But what I can say is Kansas State doesn't have to reach for the high 5-star guy, but you can reach the mid to high 4-star guy and live in that range until you start having high 4-star, 5-star results. That's what I'm talking about. You've got to start having the results. Because you can try to go and you can say, well, this school got a 5-star guy. Yeah, but maybe there was a ton of money attached to that. You've got to be the program that starts having the results. You can't just reach for the stars. And it's different between football and basketball, because in football, I give them no grace because K-State can recruit higher than what it recruits. And I say it all the time. And I'm never going to back off of that because they have had the results. Basketball has not. And so I say, live in this range, get the results, and then you can start to raise your profile. But you can't have a profile up here because Jerome Tang did that at Baylor. They didn't start off recruiting at the highest level at Baylor. They were bottom basement until they started having the results. You got to do the same thing, man. Kansas State isn't at the same level. I know they don't want to talk about it. They're not recruiting at the same level as Kansas right now. They're not. And it's okay. That's okay to say that. You got to start having the results. But you got to bring in high school guys, and you've got to develop them, which, again, brings me back. You have to have a better staff. You have to. Now, they're going to say, well, come on, Big B. What, you don't like an all-black staff? First of all, I don't care if the damn staff is a staff full of field mice, excuse me. Because it kind of pisses me off because people have said that about me before. So I just want to make sure that we're clear. I don't care what color the staff is. As long as they can win basketball games, who cares? That's my philosophy. I know I'm supposed to care because they have a black staff. I know I'm supposed to care about that, but I promise you, I don't. I just want them to win. That's all I want them to do. Win games. Develop kids, win games. That's it. That's it. So you got to have a better staff because what you have right now is not good enough. Period. End of story. Don't care whose feeling it hurts. Because sometimes, you know the old saying, the truth hurts. Yeah, you're not good enough right now. And you can't, and again, this is another old adage. You can't expect different results by continuously doing the same thing. Something's got to change. What's it going to be? You got to change the staff, man. I'm sorry. It's just not good enough right now. It's not good enough, and that's okay to stay. It's okay to stay or say, excuse me. You got to understand who you are and where you recruit. Like I mentioned, just stay away from the 5 stars for right now. Have the success and then go after those guys. I'm not saying you can never go after any, but it seems like that's what they're, and then you don't get them. The fan base is deflated because we're after these guys and we don't get them. And then it's like we're settling. You know, when you're building a roster, especially in today's day and age, it doesn't always have to be the top guy at every university, man. You know, you don't have to bring in the superstar. Bring in a collection of guys that fit what you're trying to do, a team that can play with each other based on their styles and what you're trying to do, and then go coach them and make it work. But don't go try to make, for instance, in the NBA, a lot of times it's, hey, we have the best players that we can get that money can buy. We bring them in, we coach them up. Well, you know what NBA actually has that a lot of people don't talk about? They have high-level assistant basketball coaches that know basketball, that can teach basketball. That's what people don't understand about the NBA. High-level assistant coaches, highly intelligent, understand X's and O's, understand post play, wing play, point guard play, specialize in those aspects of the game. That's what they have. High-level guys that develop them. Now, they also have a lot more games to develop those people. But that's what they have. Again, I keep coming back to staff because I just don't think Jerome Tang's staff is good enough. And I don't care what anybody says. You can be as mad at me as you want. It's the truth. So until they change some of those things, this is where we're at with Kansas State. It's got to get better. Are they doing a better job in the transfer portal now? Yes. Did they have some surprise guys jump into the transfer portal that you didn't think were going to go? Yes. But you're going to have that every single season. Every season, there's going to be 2 or 3 guys that get in the portal that you didn't think would. That's college basketball. That's college athletics. So learn to live with it. Deal with it. I know the Kansas State fans can't stand it, and I get on them constantly, and I'm going to continue to get on them. It's not ruining college athletics because you show up, you care, because if you didn't care, you just wouldn't comment. It wouldn't even matter to you. But it does. I get it. You're frustrated. I understand. But it's not ruining college athletics. It's just different. And the quicker that you get used to it being different, the better off you will be as a fan base. But also, you as a fan base, hold the coaches accountable. Damn it. Hold them accountable. They have to show you that things are going to be different. They have to prove to you that they, number one, want to thrive in this environment. They can thrive in this environment because I'm sorry, it's not going away. So all the people that think that this is just going to somehow disappear, it isn't. So what are you going to do? Let it ruin you watching college sports? That's not even the truth because you're still going to watch it. You're still going to root for your team. All the people that get online and it's ruining college basketball, it's ruining college athletics, you still watch. You still root. And you just get online and lie and say you don't watch it anymore. I mean, I don't know why. I mean, what's the point? I mean, we know that you watch. It's funny that you don't watch, but yet you know everything that there is to know about your specific team. It's crazy how that works. Come on, man. But I get it, you being frustrated. Hold them accountable. And Jerome Tang and staff, they got to do better. First of all, Jerome Tang's got to get a better staff. Gene Taylor got to hold Jerome accountable to getting a better staff. And then they got to go develop. They got to go start winning basketball games, become a consistent program. Because what you're putting out there right now is not good enough at Kansas State. It's not good enough. Other programs can turn it around and be better. Kansas State is not an also-ran program. Or maybe it is. Is that a possibility? Maybe it's just an also-ran basketball program that we are hoping and wishing that it's something else. I don't believe that's the case. But it can't be. We can't just throw that out as an impossible thing. Maybe that's what it really is. But right now, that is what it is. Until they fix it, that's exactly what it is. An also-ran program that's playing in a premier conference that can't get out of its own way. You're better than this, Jerome Tang. Be better than this. The fans will be with you. But if you continue like this, they're not going to be, man. They're just not going to be. And you know what? They shouldn't be because they deserve better. Apologize for the long video today, man, but there's a lot I had to get off my chest. Like I said, Kansas State is near and dear to my heart, but they should be better than what they are. That's my problem. They should be better than what they are. So appreciate it, man. Remember to continue to like, follow, subscribe, continue to get in those comment sections. Love you guys, and I will talk to you soon.
Thank you for watching the Big 12 Insiders, your Big 12 sports show. This has been a Spirit Street production.